Welcome back to my studio, and today we are going to start working on the pear for the project that we've been working on. I'm going to put my glove on. Always like to have that, and get my water ready here. So we're going to need to do some glazing. And I've got my camera back on for my palette. It had broken and got a different camera. I didn't buy a new one, but I had a different one. Okay, so we need to decide what we're going to do for colors here. And I've been doing a little bit of playing around. And since this is so green down here, and I mean it is really dark green down here, we're going to, first thing we're going to do is we're going to base coat it in lightest yellow, which is going to be Cardinal yellow. And then just reading my notes here to make sure I've got this set up. No, I take that back. First thing we're going to do is we're going to base coat it with the blue. French ultramarine, the darkest area at the bottom, and then the Cardinal yellow. Second coat of the French ultramarine down at the darkest part down here, so we can get that nice dark value. Okay, so that's what we're going to do there. That's going to be fun, actually. So here's our project. I'm going to just move it up a little bit so you can see it. Bring my camera over. You can see it a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so let's start. Add some water to my palette. And we're going to do the French ultramarine blue, aren't we? Let's put that out. We don't want it to be real dark to begin with. But I do want some dark in there. So we'll just add water to the bottom area here. And we'll leave that for our dark area. So this is going to be the base coat. It's almost going to be like the background color. Not quite as light. And then we'll add in a second coat of that. So let me clean my mixing brush. That's our first. Grab my baby cloth and wipe out my brush. Make sure it's clean, looks good. And pick up my drips here with the blue. So let's put some water up here, and we're going to go right to the Cardinal yellow. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Grab a Kleenex here. And this will be after we put the two coats of the blue down, our Cardinal yellow that we're going to put down on. Cleaning out my mixing brush, making sure it looks nice and clean. It seems to. So we're good there. Set that aside. Now we're going to take our glazing brush with nothing but the clean glazing water plus the blending and glazing medium. So we want to have some time with this. I think we're going to do half and half. Do the bottom half first because we want to get the darkest value of the French ultramarine down there. Put this up just a little bit so you can see it again a little bit better. Here we go. We're going to bring up the water quite a ways, even though we're not going to go that far with the water. Or with the color, I should say, with the blue. But I just want it to be able to soften in, so. Now I've left the water droplets on there, and that's perfectly fine. If you wanted to remove them, or you did remove them, it's not a big deal. I'm just sweeping it on, making sure it goes all the way to the edge and that there's no spots left undone. Got a spot there that's undone. I'm just looking at the side of my palette, or the side of my paper, making sure we don't have any puddles. There we go. That looks good. I'm going to let that soak in for a moment. Don't forget, this is virgin paper. It's never had any paint or water on it. I'm going to just lift it up so it kind of does what I want it to do, which is to fall forward a little bit if need be. And as I hold it up, I'm just seeing there's a couple little areas here that needed some water. Just kind of letting the water do its thing here and soak into the paper. Then we're going to take a very light coat. So I got a lot of water on there with that first coat. And we're just going to make sure it's all covered. And again, we're going up further than where we want to be. Okay, so we're going to set down our water brush. I am going to pick up my number 6. Since I haven't used it today, I'm going to clean it out just to be safe. It doesn't look like there's anything in there. So I'm going to just coat my brush, as you can see me roll it on the palette. And we're going to start at the bottom and we're going to go up. We're going to just drop this paint in. Now this little spot here that I just covered is a darker spot. So when we do the darker area down below, we'll redo that one as well. It's not quite as dark as the area down below, but it is definitely darker. Now I'm not going all the way up to where I put all the water in. Again, I just wanted to have a soft area for it to flow into. Making sure I got all my paper covered on the apple. Right to the edges with the blue. Right to the edge. Okay, now I'm going to pick up the darker blue, load my brush to a point, and as you can see in the picture, I would say pretty much right to the top of this little water drop here that we left. is where it's going to be darker. Down here it's going to be dark, the darkest, so I'm applying the dark layer there first. So wherever you lay your brush down with your paint on it to begin with, that's where it's going to end up being the darkest. So that's what I wanted down here. And I would say almost right up to the edge like that. I want it to be darker. I just keep reloading. Now I'm not going to reload anymore because I don't want to get it any darker than this up here. So I'm just letting my brush use the paint that's on it. Now I can see a definite difference in value where it's darker down here and lighter as it goes up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add in the water up here for the glaze. And we're going to go right over the bottom of that. There we go. Now right over here where I've got the marks on the pear on the right, it is darker there too. I'm just making sure we're going right up to the other glaze that's there. Now I don't want this to be as dark as the bottom. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to add just a little bit more water here to the blue. Don't forget, water lightens watercolors. And we'll start like that, and we're going to just bring some of this up. Looks like it kind of lost that edge there, so I'll reapply that. It is quite a bit lighter. That's a good thing. That's what I wanted. And I'm just making sure it all blends in together. And this does go right up to here. Oh, and it went over my edge there. Not too big a deal. There we go. Because that's blue in the center there too. Okay, now I want this section right underneath this leaf to be darker because it is on the picture. It's more green, which is what this is going to create. So I'm just picking up the darker blue at the top and adding it in over here, which is right where we want it to be. Dotting it in. There we go. Now I'm going to dry this. And we'll go back in and fix anything we might have to fix. So I'll be right back with you. Well, I'm back. I got everything nice and dry. And it's cool to the touch, which is very important. I did add a little bit more blue here too before I started to dry, which was our darker spot. As you can see on the pear, it's a little bit darker green there. Okay, so I've got my yellow ready to go. I'm going to start with the same brush, making sure I have nothing on it, and I have to apologize. My camera broke again. So all I'm doing is loading my brush, making sure I don't have any water drops on my ferrule. I am going to turn this. We're going to be doing this wet on dry. just so you can see it and I can get at it a little bit easier. See how that yellow is making that green for us? We don't even have to fight with it. Just really, really nice. Go right up to your edges. I have decided as well with this background that I'm going to darken it around. See, I just got yellow all over the place over there. I'm gonna just move it back. But we're gonna go around the pear with a darker blue as well. So now you want to work fairly quickly with this because you don't want this to dry since it's wet on dry paper. Even though my paper is cooled off, it still can dry fairly quickly, so you got to be cautious. You don't want any hard lines on your pear. All I'm doing is going back and picking up my, oops, move my water here so it doesn't spill. There we go. Okay. Picking up my yellow paint just as I was doing before, rolling it in the paint puddle, getting that nice point that we all like to paint with. Going right over those water drops at this point, doesn't matter. They're still covered up with the masking fluid. Some on the outside edges there too. I am dunking my brush into clean water without the blending and glazing medium because I'm just adding a little bit of water to the color. So it seems to be drying out a little bit and I don't want that to happen. Now as we go up, you can see we're not going to be quite so green like we are down here. And if we have to put another layer of yellow, we will. But if you know your color theory, this is a good way to do this. And you don't have to use green at all. You're just using your color theory to help you. And I'm going to move it again so I can get at it a little bit easier. And I'm just going to bring it around that green there. And the very top is fairly yellow, so that's good because that's the way this is turning out. That's what we wanted. We got our nice dark green over here. There we go. That's our first layer. Now I'm going to dry this again and I'll be right back with you and we'll do another one. Okay, we're back. I added a little bit more color to my palette with the yellow, and again this is going to be our second coat, and I think I'm going to actually add some water to it this time, not a lot, because you don't want to pick up the color underneath. We want to maintain that, but it was pretty dry when I was adding in the paint on the last coat. So we're going to just do it half and half. Again, we'll do this bottom half first. Bring the paint up a little bit higher than what we really wanted. Yeah, anytime you put a glaze of water down over a painted area, you want to be very gentle with your brush that you're applying, because you don't want to pick up the colors underneath. Or there we go. So now I'm going to pick up some of my yellow, and we're going to start at the bottom again. It's much darker yellow this time, which is good. That's what we want. It's still going to be green down below, greener down here than anywhere else actually, which again is what we want. It's kind of at the ugly stage right now with this poor little pear. It's always an ugly stage with painting, unfortunately. Right up to that leaf and right around it. Now this is Cardinal yellow. This is not lemon yellow. This is Cardinal yellow. Making sure I got all the edges. Now I'm going to take my water brush again, and I'm going to load up the top for the second coat. And I'm just looking at the side to see where I'm missing water. Okay. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to pick up some more of the yellow mixture that we made, and I'm going to move this again. I apologize. Yeah, you should be able to see it here. And this will blend right in with the bottom. Go right up to that edge again. This dark area. And making sure everything's gonna blend in well. It looks like it will. Okay. I'm going to dry this one more time. And I'll be right back with you. All right, we're back. I got everything nice and dry and cool to the touch. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do that darker background like I had explained to you. We're going to let this dry completely overnight. And then I'm going to decide if we need another coat of the yellow, which we might. But what I did was I took the paint that I had on my palette, which was Cardinal yellow and French ultramarine. I mixed them together and of course got a green, which I didn't want. So I added in, I don't have any orange on my palette, so in order to get the opposite of blue to tone it down, I needed an orange. But with the yellow in there, I added Cardinal red. So we've got French ultramarine, Cardinal yellow, and Cardinal red. And it created this color, which is pretty much exactly what we want to give our background a little bit of depth here. And I'm going to take my background brush that I like to use. Get it wet because it hasn't been used yet today. Cleans up very nice so it's not a dirty brush. So I'm just going to add in, we'll start around the pear where I want this darker background to be. I don't want to do the whole background, but up to the pear here, I do want to get some of that darker color in there. And of course, I'm going to go further out than where I'm going to actually put the paint. Now, I did let my paper cool down. So I dried everything and then I did my mixing. Just saves a little bit of space, time there, so you're not waiting for your paper to cool down. Okay, so let's start there. First thing I want to do is, of course, everything separates as you let it sit. So I'm just going to mix my paint back up. See if I need to put anything else in there. Doesn't look like I do. It looks pretty good. It's kind of a duller, darker blue color. All right. So now I'm going to just pick up my color with my brush. Go right back in the area that we had put the water. And of course the water down on the paper is going to lighten the value of the color. Just so that you're aware of that. There we go. And I don't want to go right to the edge of where I had the water, because I want this to blend out in a soft fashion in the back as we go. I'm just looking at the side of my paper to see where I stopped with my water. I might actually want this to even be a little darker, which I think we're going to just do as we go here. I'm going to just add in some more of that French ultramarine. Blend it in. Yeah, that's better. That's more of what I was thinking. So we're going to put that in right over what I already had on there. Just let the paint do its thing here. I'm going to get it right up to that pear, that darker color. So we're basically going to come out with a layer of two different colors in the background, and that's not a bad thing. I'm going to just turn this a little bit so I can get at this edge a little bit easier. And all I'm doing is laying my brush down where I want the darker color, and of course I went over my pear, but that's okay because that's going to be the green color anyway. Before this dries, I want to get this darker value in there. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this section. make sure I get it the way I want it, and then we'll go in and dry it, and then we'll go on to the next section. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're back. I've got everything nice and cool and dry, and got my brush clean. I'm going to add some more water up in this area. I'm going to go right over that section there. I did mix some more paint, so it'll probably be a little different than the other side, which is normal. I'm gonna soften this edge over here anyway. That's good. That's better. That'll soften out. And I'm just gonna look at this side of my paper. Looks pretty good. I brought that out pretty far. Okay, now I'm gonna pick up my color, mixing it around again because it always separates. It actually needs a little bit more red in there. It's amazing how it just separates the colors. It's so strange. All right, so I'm going to grab another piece of watercolor paper here and see how close we are. Oh, not too far. Pretty good. Okay. Load my brush. Yeah, it's going to be pretty good. Right up to the edge of that pear. Don't forget, your paint's only going to go where your water is. If you didn't go over the pear, it should be okay. Same thing with your leaf. And again, some of that's going to be just a little bit of a different color here. And what happens to paint when it dries? It dries lighter. So we're going to let that dry. And I do want to add a little bit of water in there on this edge here, just to soften it away. Just to give it some water to run into. You know, I was really liking that masking fluid. But it really leaves a mark behind when you take it off. Okay, I'm going to dry this one more time. And before we do any of the top of the background, I'm going to do one more coat of yellow. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, I've got everything nice and dry and cool to the touch. So now what we're going to do is one more coat on the pear. And I think just to make it go a little bit smoother, I am going to add some water. Do the bottom first again. This is going to be a pretty vibrant coat. I did not add a whole lot. It's still sentinel yellow, but I just didn't add a whole bunch of water to it like I had been. And again, I'm going to bring my water up further than where I'm actually going to paint, because that's important. You want it to go fairly smooth. Just looking to see where my water is and where do I need to put it still. Looks like over here. Looking at the side of my paper. Okay. So now I'm going to just pick up my yellow, Sentinel yellow. See how much more vibrant that color is? And don't forget, we still have to put our red dots on here, so that's going to change the tone a little bit too, to a more of an orange, like the picture. Yeah, I'm liking this a lot better already. Making sure I get right up to that edge. And again, I don't have a whole lot of water in my puddle, but I do have water on the pear. But yeah, that's going to look much better, I think. But you can still see the darker green at the bottom. And that's what we wanted. The picture is so dark green, almost fades right into the background. All right, so now I'm going to add some more water on the top section. And we're going to go right over that dark area underneath the leaf there. It's got to have some more vibrant yellow on it too. Looking to make sure I got everything wet. That looks like I do. Okay. And I'm just going to pick up some more paint on my brush. Now I could have done some dry brushing on this to build up color, but with this large a surface, we would have been dry brushing forever. So the glaze was the best technique for this, and that's the way you want to think about your paintings too. What's the best technique? I can do this, this, and this. Which one's going to be the easiest, and which one's going to give me the best bang for my buck? And I think this is going to give us the best value, not in dollars, but in color. And that's what we needed. We needed to get that yellow back in there. Okay, I'm going to dry this one more time, and then when we get back together the next time, I think we're going to add some yellow into these areas because they're too stark of the blue. This leaf I like, it looks good. This one needs to be changed a little bit, so we'll work on that. And we're getting there. So I'll see you soon.